Have you ever fallen for an April Fool's joke? I'm guessing that you have if you've lived on this earth for at least a few years. Hence, you'll know the feeling of shame is directly proportional to the stupidity of the joke multiplied by the length of time you were fooled. Case in point, Ultra Fernando Cousins. An obviously made-up name, if ever there was one. Sillier even than the Great Gianna Sisters. And what a great hoax that turned out to be, eh? Video game magazines became known for inserting subtle, and not so subtle, April Fool's jokes into their pages. So, readers of the April 1998 edition of Computer and Video Games should probably have expected silly things hidden among the usual news and features. The art of a good April Fool's joke is treading the line between stupidity and believability. Hence, the Vectron power skin is an excellent example of the genre. Motion capture was very popular at this time, so it doesn't take a huge step in logic to reach a full-body controller suit. Now clearly, somebody had lots of fun writing this article, and indeed making that joy suit out of bits from the Blue Peter cupboard. From this distance, it looks a bit clunky, but entirely believable. And note the Powerskin logo here, which is clearly made out of word art. And I love myself a bit of Microsoft word art. Anyway, this article was placed near the beginning of the mag, so you might have believed that this was the only April Fool's joke in this issue. But there would be another, and here it is. Iznogoud is clearly a title made up in 5 minutes, and a simple vehicle to lay into this false game with full force. A fully deserved golden turd of abomination, and a crummy photoshopped screenshot, complete with hastily slapped together HUD. Case closed. Except not, because it appears that Iznogoud is a real comic book written by Asterix creator Goscinny. It turns out there was a real game based on his exploits, and by all accounts, it was pretty awful. For proof that this exists, here is the intro. Any excuse to show 90s 3D graphics. Here we go. Oh god. Oh god, what's happening here? No!
Hey, Beavis.
Up you get, boss.
No!
Up you get, boss.
No!
So that leaves us with the first essential Mexican import game for years, namely Ultra Fernando Cousins. At first glance, this review contains many references to Super Mario 64 and Mario Kart 64, indicating that it might be some sort of ROM hack. That isn't beyond the realms of possibility. After all, stuff like Ronaldinho existed. This was a hack of International Superstar Soccer 64 with a hilariously doctored intro screen that you can see here. But most notably, it was made in Peru, so it's perfectly possible that illicit Mexican games could also have been produced around this time. Ronnie 64 wasn't a full game hack, it was merely a modification, and only a few small things were changed, for example, the player rosters. Getting back to Ultra Fernando Cousins, it seemed to be a much grander affair, taking ROM hacking to whole new levels. Instead of Mario 64's puny 120 stars, UFC had over 400. Not only that, but there was a Mario Kart-style minigame named Fernando Cars. Princess Peach has become Prince Plum, while Lakitu appears to have been renamed Pedro. As the review states, not that original. But who cares when the game is this good? Oh man, those guys must have been working away at this game for, well, months. I mean, Mario 64 had only been out for maybe a couple of years at that point. So they work fast, really fast. Let's take a closer look at the screenshot provided. And I've got my wonderful mouse pointer here. We can see that Fernando here, complete with stereotypical Mexican mustache, has collected over 300 cool stars. His brother Miguel, possibly controlled by a second person, attempts what looks like a Bob-omb Battlefield style Mario Kart course. Note that this Goomba over here also has a Mexican mustache. What great attention to detail, eh? But in UFC you can apparently use a stick as a weapon. Perhaps to attack butterflies. There are multiple switches to find, indicated over here. I think Fernando has collected 3, and he's got 2 spare. I think those are caps, you know, like the wing cap and the metal cap in Mario 64. But who knows? Maybe they're a pot of rainbow paint and freshly baked humble pie. Also in this edition of CVG was the infamous Lara Croft nude cheat. This involved tapping many buttons to the beat of All Saints' Never Ever. And now this screenshot was supposedly censored by the thoughtful CVG team. We've got the star there, keeping Lara's pride intact. And the butler's googly eyes over there. But was it an April Fool's joke? In the May 1998 edition of CVG, all would be revealed. Exactly which of the news articles and reviews were April Fool's pranks? Apparently, the Vectron power skin generated a lot of interest, and people wrote in or called in to ask about it. But, as we guessed, it was just one of the CVG team wearing a VR headset with some plastic cups. And I have to say, it was very convincing. And of course, Ultra Fernando Cousins was revealed to be false. The doctored screenshot was an obvious giveaway, but apparently a great many were fooled. And I was one of them. In fact, I was really looking forward to buying Ultra Fernando Cousins when it eventually reached the UK, and of course became cheap enough to buy second hand. In hindsight, I really should have spotted the clues. Rainbow paint and glass nails? Classic April Fool's items of years past. And humble pie? I was certainly eating that. As for Lara Croft nude, yes, it was indeed a cruel hoax. But there was plenty to make up for it in the user-submitted drawings section. Drawings what you done. This particular drawing earned a well-deserved bone. See, look, a bone. See, look, they gave it the bone. See. That's not quite the end of the UFC story, however. Some time ago, I made a video with the console snub about Ultra Fernando Cousins. Sega 9599 on the GameFAQs forums picked up on this video, apparently mistaking it for a ROM hack. Or maybe he just picked up on the thumbnail and thought, oh, maybe this is a real thing. Or, I don't know, maybe he was just playing along with the April Fool. Yeah, who knows, but the Ultra Fernando Cousins legend lives on.